Hi. It's been too long, I've forgotten how to do this. I really want to tell you guys about this guy from ancient Greece called Alcibiades. Alcibiades is my absolute all-time favorite history guy to talk about. He's my favorite, ancient person. Love talking about him. He's such an icon. He's such a legend. He was a terrible person also. But we can get into that. Question that we will answer at the end of this video. I do have a question for you to consider and also for me to consider, and then I'll talk about it at the end. Did Alcibiades cause the fall of the Athenian Empire? I don't know. Stay tuned to find out. His story is so ridiculous while also having such a big impact on the Athenian Empire. Bro just fucked everything up. He messed everything up. You'll see. You'll see. Yes, terrible person, icon, bisexual king, we love. Let's get started. First and most importantly, Alcibiades is gorgeous. Gorgeous. The prettiest man you've ever seen. Every ancient source that we have on Alcibiades mentions his beauty. Even the ones that are slandering him, which, to be honest, is most of them. Most of the sources we have on him are slandering him, but that's a him thing. Is it slander if it's actually true? Alcibiades was an Athenian elite. He was a big general. He was really important. He was the ward. Also, I'm so sorry. Ward, I feel like that's not a real thing. Who's the ward of anyone? Anyway, he was the ward of this guy named Pericles, who was a big general in his day. Pericles was pretty famous for his role in preventing Sparta from ruining Athens, one of the many times that Sparta did try to ruin Athens. So Pericles kept Athens alive and running, so he was well respected, whatever. Alcibiades was also the student of Socrates, and okay, if you don't know this about ancient Greece, I'm just gonna say it. Teachers in ancient Greece were known to have relationships with their students. Not platonic, non-platonic relationships of the sexual nature. That's a thing about ancient Greece. Okay. But, oh my god, shock surprise, Socrates wasn't like that. He did not have sex with his students. Wow. What a low bar. But Alcibiades was head over heels in love with Socrates. And Alcibiades was known for sleeping around, right? Alcibiades was the Playboy of ancient Greece. He was sleeping around with all the men and the women, crazy. Yeah, he's the bisexual icon of ancient Greece. We love him for that. The one person he really wanted was the only person who didn't want him back. How tragic. So there's this whole play about Alcibiades being Socrates, why don't you love me? And Socrates is Alcibiades, I love your soul. Another thing about Alcibiades and Socrates is that Alcibiades got Socrates killed. Okay? For real, because of the actions of Alcibiades, Socrates got accused of corrupting the youth, which apparently in ancient Greece was a offense punishable by death. But Xenophon, who is a ancient Greek historian guy who talks a lot about the relationship between Socrates and Alcibiades, he said Alcibiades, for his part, exceeded all in licentiousness and insolence under the democracy. And I actually have no idea what that means. Okay, licentiousness is lacking in legal or moral restraints, especially regarding sexual restraints. So Xenophon was yeah, Alcibiades was really good at lacking sexual restraint. That's the vibe I'm picking up from Xenophon right now. Also, Xenophon says a lot of stuff about Alcibiades. Xenophon's not an important guy for this video, but oh my god, I hate reading Xenophon. He yaps about Alcibiades a lot, just paragraphs attacking Alcibiades' character. Crazy. Yeah, Xenophon is definitely not a fan of Alcibiades. Alcibiades is a student of Socrates, right? And Xenophon, when talking about that, says, for my part, I believe that had heaven granted them the choice between the life they saw Socrates leading and death, they would have chosen rather to die. So there, Xenophon is yeah, Alcibiades wasn't a student of Socrates because he wanted to live like Socrates. He was a student of Socrates because Socrates was like important and like a big name, right? Being a student of Socrates could like get him places in life, but if it came down to it, if Alcibiades really had to live the life that Socrates was living, he would rather die than do that. Which is reasonable. Like, I don't think anything Xenophon said about Alcibiades was untrue. Just, you'll see. Anyway, Alcibiades and Socrates. Alcibiades gets Socrates killed because Alcibiades was a bad guy and Socrates corrupted him, apparently. It's probably a lot more complicated than that, but if I read any more Xenophon while writing this video, I would have had an aneurysm. I would have actually passed away. Because Xenophon is not my guy. So, like, that's the backstory, right? Alcibiades' life goes on, and by the time he's in his, like, 30s-ish, he's one of the most, if not the most prominent Athenian of his time. He's like this hotshot general, and life is great. But quick interlude to explain something else here. And this is necessary to understand like the dynamics a little bit of the Athenian Empire. I'm not gonna go too in depth because yeah, I'm not gonna go too in depth. Athens is a city, right? But the Athenian Empire refers to a series of alliances that Athens had with other cities to counter Sparta, right? This is also known as the Delian League. And all of these alliances were made on the basis that they would be allies forever. Like, one of the main things they agreed to when becoming allies was that they would be allies for the rest of time, and they would always come to each other's aid when they're in danger. Also, if you're a historian watching this or someone who knows about the Athenian Empire, I'm not including all of the painful details about the Athenian Empire and how it works because there's so much. And for the sake of simplicity in this video, I'm just going to like lay out the basics. I'm gonna leave some stuff out. It will still be historically accurate, I'm just simplifying it a little bit. If you really want an in-depth video about how the Athenian Empire worked, I can do that. I spent an entire semester studying the Athenian Empire and I still don't understand how their finances work. I'm gonna try to give you a visual for this Athenian Empire, right? So Athens had recently made an alliance with a few cities on the island of Sicily. Sicily is an island off the coast of Italy and it's pretty far away from Athens. So I'm gonna give you a visual for this. So here's the Mediterranean Sea. And here is Sicily. Sicily is an island, as you can see, and it has multiple city-states. So there are several cities on the island of Sicily, and they are all like independently governed, right? They all have their own government. Most of the cities on Sicily were friends with Sparta, like they were allied with Sparta. And Sparta was Athens' main enemy at the time, but a few were allied with Athens. The only city that's important for this video is Egesta. Egesta is a city on the western side of Sicily. And you can see here where Athens is in comparison to Egesta. Like, Athens is pretty far away from Egesta. If Athens wanted to get to Egesta, they'd have to sail right past Sparta. But Cellenius, another city on the island of Sicily, attacked Egesta. And Cellenius was allies with Sparta. So Cellenius attacks Egesta. Per the alliance that Egesta and Athens have, Athens is bound to help them. Except Athens was not in a great place. They weren't up to full strength at the time for several reasons. Heavy losses in previous battles, the plague, etc., etc. So we see the problem, right? If Athens goes to help Egesta, then Sparta will go help Cellenius. And the really fragile truce that Sparta and Athens had at the time would break and they would be fighting again. So there was a debate. Should Athens go to Egesta or should they stay home? Back to Alcibiades now. Remember that guy? Alcibiades and this guy, Nicias, have a debate on whether Athens should go help their allies. Like, imagine the cabinet battle from Hamilton type argument. Personal insults included. Alcibiades and Nicias go back and forth over whether Athens should help their ally. Nicias is like, yo guys, what the why are we even talking about this? We are not up to full strength. We will be defeated. We cannot take on Sparta right now. And Alcibiades is like, we made a promise. We signed a treaty. David Digg style. I hope you guys got that. And unlike in the cabinet battle, Alcibiades won. They actually had this debate twice, and the second time is the more famous, more well-known One, because it was like actually in front of the people of Athens, and the first one was like just in front of the people who make the decision. Alcibiades won the first debate too, but Nicias was like, no, please guys, give me another chance. Poor Nicias. I really feel for Nicias. You'll see why. I do have to highlight the visual difference between Alcibiades and Nicias. So Alcibiades is young, right? Probably early 30s, really attractive, really young for an Athenian general, especially one of his status. He's kind of like the new kid in town. He's still trying to prove himself a little bit. But then Nicias is older, like 60s, I want to say. But also visually, they're super different. Like, you can really tell that Alcibiades is way younger and prettier than Nicias. But Nicias represents the older generation. Nicias is an established general. He has the respect. People respect him, people know him, which maybe would have been good if he was advocating to go to war. But since he was advocating to stay home, he, in the end, lost. Because Alcibiades was appealing to Athenians' sense of duty, and also their want for glory and power. Alcibiades is saying that this could lead to the entire takeover of the island of Sicily. Like, if the Athenians go, then they have a really good chance of being able to capture the entire island of Sicily, which would be like huge steps for Athenian supremacy in the Mediterranean Sea. And Athenians like that. So they decide to go to Sicily, with Alcibiades and Nicias leading the charge. That's right. Even though Nicias did not want to go, he had to go anyway. So yeah, that's how Alcibiades and Nicias end up in Sicily, except that's not what happened. Because Alcibiades really just had to go mess things up. Because, of course he did. So the night before they were meant to set sail to Sicily, Alcibiades partied a bit. He's about to go to war, so he let loose. He got kind of drunk. He got drunk and revealed hang on. What secrets? Hang on. The Eleusinian mysteries. What they're about is not important, just like that they're secret, okay? Only the inducted can know. He got drunk and revealed the Eleusinian mysteries, which is already, like, strictly forbidden. Like, strictly forbidden. But to make matters worse, Alcibiades was drunk, and he acted out a parody of the Eleusinian mysteries. Like, totally disrespectful. It was done in a mocking way. So that's already, like, not allowed. Like, I can't even stress to you how not allowed that was. Like, that was punishable by death. Like, revealing the mysteries is punishable by death. Plus, he mocked them, so that's like extra death, right? But on top of that, Alcibiades went around Athens and broke all of the... Okay, there are these statues, right? There are Hermes, there are boundary markers, and a lot of them have erect male genitals on it. These statues were called Herms. Alcibiades and his friends allegedly went around Athens and broke off all the genitals off of these statues. And this was like already a bad omen, but like especially since they were going to Sicily the next day, like double bad omen, right? They saw it as a bad omen for the journey, for their fate in Sicily. And so everyone was freaking out. And everyone was like, oh my god, Alcibiades did it. Did he do it? We don't know. Obviously, Alcibiades had a lot of political enemies, so, like, it's very possible that he didn't do it. But just, like, vibe-wise, based on everything else Alcibiades does in his life, I think that, like, personally, I think he did it. Anyways, Alcibiades, because of this, was, like, banished. I think he was, like, supposed to be put to death, but he, like, ran away first. I don't know. But he left Athens, right? And he did not go to Sicily. So, where did he go when he left Athens? Well, that's a great question. Because where else would he go than Athens' biggest enemy? That's right, he went to Sparta. Because of course he did. Oh, and what does this mean for Nicias and the expedition to Sicily? It means that he had to lead the Athenians into battle alone. That's another crazy story that could be its whole own video, like what happened to the Athenians in Sicily. Shortened version of it is, it was really bad, it was really terrible, and all the Athenians died gruesomely. And the ones who weren't were enslaved, right? Okay. Anyways, Alcibiades in Sparta. Woohoo! So Alcibiades goes to Sparta and betrays Athens. Basically. He's like, hey, Sparta, I can give you Athenian secrets if you protect me. And Sparta was like, yes, come live with us. So, Sparta welcomed him. He gave away Athenian secrets, some that may or may not have led to the defeat of the Athenians in Sicily, Woohoo. Love it when you get your own men killed. He gave the Spartans a lot of advice on what the inside, like, plans were. Which cities Sparta should fortify because Athens had their eye on them as potential targets. And the Spartans loved him. Like, loved him. And according to Plutarch, who wrote this whole thing on the life of Alcibiades, Alcibiades assimilated really well into Spartan society. Like, really well. I need to read you this quote from Plutarch because I really think it represents Alcibiades. Like, it really describes his character. For he had, as it was observed, this peculiar talent and artifice for gaining men's affections that he could at once comply with and really embrace and enter into their habits and way of life and change faster than the chameleon. So Alcibiades was really good at changing himself to fit into what people expected of him. And Plutarch here compares Alcibiades to a chameleon in a bad way. But also, I don't think that they mean men's affections here as in, like, romantic affections. I think Plutarch meant as in, like, that he was likable. People liked him. But he was also good at gaining men's romantic affections. Of course, though, Alcibiades did have to go mess up his life in Sparta by sleeping with the queen of Sparta, allegedly, and having a son with her, allegedly. Is it true? We'll never know. And the king of Sparta was pissed. Like, understandably, first of all, but also, like, yeah, he was mad. So, Alcibiades fled to Persia. Amazing. I love that for him. Those were the three major players in the Mediterranean Sea at that time: Sparta, Athens, and Persia. So he just bounced around. Persia was allies with Athens and Sparta at different times through several centuries. They kind of just helped whoever they hated less. So in Persia...
You okay?
I'm good, bro. You geeking, bro. I'm good.
Bro.
But get hold of me, I'm good.
Persia, I still, like, okay, full transparency here, I don't understand all the details of what happened with him in Persia. But I'm going to give you my best understanding of what happened, okay? Persia also is like Turkey. In Persia, he had some mischief with Athenians, which is hilarious. That comes later, though. First, we have to talk about how much exactly the king of Sparta hated Alcibiades. Like, bro wanted him dead. King of Sparta went to Athens, his enemy, and said, we have to figure out how to kill Alcibiades. And Athens was like, yeah, bro, we tried. You took him in and protected him from us. Also, Alcibiades knew that the king of Sparta wanted him dead, so he was, like, really careful. And he also knew that Sparta and Athens were now conspiring to kill him together, which was, like, great. So he went to live with the king of Persia. And also, Alcibiades charmed the king of Persia the same way he charmed the Spartans. And Alcibiades became, like, the right-hand guy of the king of Persia. And okay, there's this line where Plutarch is talking about the relationship between Alcibiades and the king of Persia, and I really don't know how to take it. So I'm going to read it, and I need you to tell me what you think. And indeed, the charm of daily intercourse with him was more than any character could resist, or any disposition escape. So, daily intercourse with Alcibiades could mean intercourse as in, like, intercourse, like, literally, like, but also could mean intercourse as in, like, just daily interactions with Alcibiades. And the thing about Alcibiades is that you don't know. It could be either, which is hilarious. It could be either because he did both. And I find that so funny. Alcibiades advised the king of Persia on how to take down Athens and Sparta, because of course he did. And Athens wasn't doing too great at that time. Their devastating defeat in Sicily weakened them a lot. So the prospect of a Persian invasion was terrifying. Here's the thing though, Alcibiades' goal this whole time was just to get back to Athens. He just wanted to go home. So, Alcibiades went behind the king of Persia's back. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, basically he told the Athenians that he could get the king of Persia to make a peace agreement with the Athenians. And this is where everything gets really complicated because there's something about Athenian generals who were in Persia at the time and him manipulating them. But, like, what's really important here now is that Athens had a democracy, right? But around this time, an oligarchy came into power. An oligarchy is like when a bunch of rich people have the power in the government and the people don't have a say. It's kind of like a dictatorship, except it's like not one person, it's like 10 really rich dudes, right? And this new government was tyrannical. Like, they were killing people who disagreed with the oligarchy. So this was happening in Athens, and Alcibiades actually schemed his way into making an Athenian civil war. First of all, he was kind of like influential in getting the oligarchy into power anyways. Don't ask me how, I don't know. Second of all, he convinced people who didn't like the oligarchy to start a civil war. But he was just talking to a bunch of Athenian generals and he was like, y'all should like fight back. So a civil war started in Athens. We love. And this is all happening while he's still in Persia. Like, bro is manipulating Athens while in Persia, which is crazy. And so the Athenians did drive the oligarchs out of Athens. Hooray. They restored a government similar to the one they had before. And because Alcibiades helped start the rebellion, Athenians loved him. They demanded that he come back home, which was what he wanted in the first place. No more exile. Hooray, he can go home. This is probably the longest, most roundabout way anyone could go about getting themselves unbanned from a city back to Athens, except we're not done, because of course Alcibiades is never done. Alcibiades never rests. Yeah, actually on his way back to Athens, he conquered a bunch of enemies, blah 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 blah, had a bunch of war victories, blah 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 blah. Eventually he was like, I'm gonna go back to Athens. Had a few more insignificant detours. I mean, like, I guess like then they weren't insignificant, like now for the story they're like insignificant. He just basically like attacked a bunch of places and got land for Athens. So he returns home to Athens. Finally, what he wanted this whole time. Except no, because 5 years later, he's exiled again from Athens. He was exiled this second time because he had led an expedition to like attack some people who were Athenian enemies, and he lost. And so because of this, his enemies in Athens finally were able to banish him again. So he went to Thrace. Not important where it is, it's just not in Athens. He went to Thrace, where he spent the next 3 years of his life trying to get back to Athens, and then he was murdered. The end. Good night. That's it. R.I.P. Yeah, that was a lot. That was the life of Alcibiades. Crazy shit. Crazy shit. Yeah, I don't know. He was probably murdered by Sparta or Persia, but no one really knows. He had a lot of enemies. So, to answer the question from the beginning, did Alcibiades cause the fall of the Athenian Empire? Here's the deal, right? Because the expedition to Sicily that Alcibiades advocated for was the beginning of the end of the Athenian Empire. Now, we don't know how the expedition would have gone if Alcibiades had stayed with them and like led them into battle. Could the Athenians have won? I don't know. Alcibiades was a military genius, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could have defeated their enemies in Sicily, right? Instead of dying, if Alcibiades had remained with them. And like, if he had never advocated to go to Sicily in the first place, what would have happened? Would the Athenian Empire have lived on? We don't know. But even without the expedition in Sicily and his role in it, his actions in Sparta and Persia really rocked the sinking boat that was the Athenian Empire. Really, in my opinion, the real marker for the end of the Athenian Empire was when the oligarchy took over. That was kind of the end. There were things that happened afterwards, and Persia and Sparta joined forces to finally defeat Athens. But for me, the oligarchy really was like when it was over for Athens. So, did Alcibiades cause the fall of the Athenian Empire? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I know, I'm sorry, it's not a very satisfying answer. But for me, history can always go in so many directions. It's really hard for me to say that, like, if one specific thing hadn't happened, this other specific thing would have happened. We don't know what would have happened if Alcibiades had done different things or never even existed at all, right? So, what do you think? Do you think that Alcibiades caused the fall of the Athenian Empire? I know I didn't really go into depth with things happening in the Athenian Empire after Alcibiades' death, and I can, if anyone wants a separate video about that. But there were factors and things that happened that Alcibiades didn't have anything to do with. There were things that happened in the decline after the oligarchy that make me think that while Alcibiades definitely played a significant role in the destruction of the Athenian Empire, there were other factors that played into it. And maybe they were more important or less important than Alcibiades, but we just, like, I don't know. So, I don't know. Like, discuss in the comments. That's really it for the video. This is where my script ends, and it says, note from Annika writing this. I'm going to bed because it was 3 a.m. when I finished writing this, which is really sad for me. That's the life of Alcibiades. I really enjoyed making this video. I love talking about Alcibiades. He's my favorite guy to talk about. I didn't even talk about how I think Austin Butler should play Alcibiades in a history movie thing. I really think that he should. I have a petition. I'll link it in the description box. Please go sign it. There's 5 signatures. We need Austin Butler to play Alcibiades. Please. Thank you. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Peace. Peace out, A-Town. Okay, no, but thank you so much for watching. Please remember to take your meds. I forgot that this morning, so I'm going to do that like really soon, like right after I finish this. Please take your meds, drink some water, try to cut down on that caffeine intake because I'm having an issue with that. Really, I'm trying to like slow down that, you know. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this entire video. I hope it was as interesting for you as it was for me, and I'll see you next time with a video about the 8th Air Force because I'm like really into B-17s right now, so that's what we're gonna talk about next time. Anyway, look forward to that, and then after that, maybe we're gonna get back to Marauders. Anyway, I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.